Howdy guys, so we're about halfway into my mission for the day. Basically, I was driving somewhere else and well, the one bolt I realized I didn't thread lock came out. My brakes were doing all sorts of fucky shit, so I came home, pulled it apart, and I figured while I've got the wheel off at the back, I might as well go ahead and start dropping all this down. So I've got my toe drop brackets now, so we're going to weld them in today. I'm also going ahead and putting those 3-inch trailing arm spacers back in now because, well, I need them for the toe drop. And as you can see, this whole trailing arm now is so much more leveled out. And then this especially is going to be leveled out. And that means it's no longer going to be stretched up here, rebounding at every bump and causing it to sway, because this is like pulling it around too much because it's not supposed to be under that sort of like tension constantly. It's supposed to sit more level and then have up and down movement. It was pretty limited, just like in old videos how I showed how this was stretched out, nearly hitting this, causing it to just like rebound really quickly. That's basically what this has been doing as well. And so now correcting that, I will have a perfect alignment in the rear. Okie dokie guys, picking back up. It's been about 3-4 hours. Brakes are all back together, running sweet. And I've gone and done one whole side of my toe drop and my bigger trailing arm drop. It's all welded in, all painted, all bolted back up. So now I'm gonna go do the other side. Basically, to get started, obviously you want the wheel off the car. You want to come down under the car. So to begin with, we're gonna go and remove the 2 bolts here and the 1 bolt here, there, securing our brace bar in. From there, we're going to loosen this bolt on this side of the toe arm, and we're also going to remove this bolt. From there, we're going to drop these down so we can replace it with a 3-inch, and this whole trailing arm will move, and I'll show you exactly why we need that to be the case. Alrighty guys, now here's the interesting bit that I wanted to show you that I explained in one of my vlogs. So basically in the past I've talked to you about how when you add this here, you're now pushing this all down 2 inches. So you need to correct this 2 inches, you need to correct this, basically make sure everything levels out, right? Well, the final piece I don't have is the toe drop bracket. You can see this toe arm now, that I've released those trailing arm spacers. Let's just get these 3-inch ones here, for example. Just show you exactly what this drop looks like. So currently you can see that these 3-inch trailing arm spacers are literally just sitting in there perfectly. Like, they are the perfect height to correct this alignment. But this still needs to come down so it can be corrected. So basically we're going to drop it down to there with that toe drop bracket, and now that will align nicely with these trailing arm spacers and the rest of my drop. Now one little thing to note, as you might remember with my camber arm drop bracket, I had to grind down the bushing sleeve to fit into the drop bracket. That is the same case here. I feel like hard race maybe have wider bushes. I'm not really sure what to think there. Either way, I'm gonna go grind this bad boy down so I can fit it into that bracket. Then I go ahead, bolt the bracket in, and then weld it up. Okie dokie, so I've gone, shortened that bushing down. I've now gone, bolted this in. You'll see there's 2 bolts up there. One will thread into the factory sliding nut for the toe arm, and the other will thread into the thread in the actual bracket. This gives it a lot of rigidity, and then we weld on top of that, so that way it's not going anywhere and it's got a lot of bracing. So I'm gonna just make sure this test fits now, and then I'll go ahead and weld that up. Now, just a quick note, you'll be reusing your factory bolt for the factory nut, and then you'll be using the shorter supplied stainless bolt to go through the threaded bit on the toe drop bracket. Then for the final bolt through the toe arm, you'll be using the longer nut and bolt, and you'll just have it coming this way, same as factory. I've just got you wedged into the windshield here because I don't have any other way of showing you this right now. I need to get my GoPro sorted again, but let's give this thing a test run, shall we? Alright, so you'll actually hear my tire rub in a second, most likely. Immediately what I can tell you is with those drop brackets in, I do feel like the rear suspension is a little bit more solid. There's a bit less like squeaky and like bounciness to it. It just feels like it's traveling properly. Before, it would like kind of rebound like early and just cause like this sort of thing at the whole trailing arm, which I'm sure you can imagine is quite dangerous. So now we're basically just going to do a quick little highway loop, see how the car goes. You should be able to see like the swaying effect. Like this is what it would be like if I was swaying. So this is the section of highway that typically I would induce a lot of sway. It's just uneven, there's a lot of bumps. Right here is where it would pretty much be like swaying like this. It's not. It's handling quite nicely, in fact. I'll be taking this exit now. So I'm sure, as you can already imagine, the first thing I want to do is go to that local hill and just drive it up it, see how it's feeling. It is worth mentioning, I do still have that fucked rear CV that is being held together with duct tape to pack that grease in, so we're gonna play it a little bit careful because I don't want to have to do that today. But like worst case scenario, I've got a rear CV sitting in the back of the vehicle with me, so I could do it if need be. Alrighty, so we're in August now. It is August 19th. I'm finally getting to the replacement of my rear right CV. Yes, the one that I duct taped back up and greased into duct tape just to hold it together because it was making the most awful clacking sound and probably would have exploded on me. So, I'm gonna put my boots on and get to it. Alrighty, so I got my replacement shaft here, and yeah. Got my tools laid out, so let's bang this one out. Really do not need much for this one. Hammer, pry bar, just in case the CV gives me a bit of grief. Shouldn't, because it's all busted up. CV, axle nut, impact gun, jack and jack stand. That's pretty much all I need. Get these lug nuts off. See, I'm pulling the CV out, got the axle nut there. You can see how badly that boot is split, how little grease is in there, just how fucked it is in general. There's a lot of dirt in there, and then this end needs to come out, so I'm going to come smack that with a hammer. Okie dokie, so I've got the new CV here, and then I've got the middle of the old shaft here because it just fell apart. So I've got the outer cup with the ABS ring. I'm just gonna come and give you a close-up on this. How on earth was I driving on a CV this fucking busted and this barely held together? I'm surprised these bearings on the end of the spindle here aren't all chipped up. But yeah, this is all that dirt and grime and mud that is in there. So yeah, definitely glad to be pulling this bad boy out. So the inner cup is still in the diff here. I'm just gonna try and pop that out. I have heard that these can be a little bit of a bitch, so I've got some pry tools to pop that sucker out. There we go. So, you'll just see on the inner cup here, it's got this little retaining clip. That's basically why I needed to pry that out, why it wouldn't just come out. So you need to make sure that clips back in when we put the new one in. And you can just see the inner, yeah. In a cup here. In total, just destroyed. Okay. So what I'm currently running into is the CV doesn't want to fully come out of the wheel bearing here, so I'm just tapping around here and it's slowly coming out. I've sprayed some degreaser in there to loosen it up as well. I just need to get that out so I can get this axle nut back on. I've gotten it to pop out lightly, so I've dirted it on slightly, and now I'm just gonna, you can see that's pulling that right back through. Alright, so you're seeing that's coming through quite nicely now. I'm going to go find out the torque specs for this and get my torque wrench. Alrighty guys, so I've just gone ahead, tightened up the axle nut, notched it with the chisel. That's not coming off. We've finished replacing the CV. So I'm going to put the wheel on, go back and tighten all the bolts I undid around bushings to just make things easier. Tighten those back up with it loaded on the ground, because that's what you got to do with any ball joint or bushing, is tighten it back down once it's on the ground. So I'll put the wheel on, do that, and that's the CV replaced. I always use one of these crossbars to tighten them down. It's always better to tighten them down by hand than power tool, so you can be certain of how far they've been tightened down. Alright, so now that all the wheels weighted back on the suspension, we can go ahead and tighten down any of those bolts attached to bushings. So I got to do my toe arm bracket, I got to do my camber arm bracket, and I've got to do my trailing arm spacer bolts, because I removed all of those. So that nut. Okay, now final one is this upper rear camber arm drop bracket bolt, because I removed that. All right, they are all nicely tightened down now. I'm gonna grab my keys and go for a test drive. All right, before I take off, I'm just gonna do a quick spot check, see if there's anything I forgot over the last 2 days it's been sitting here. Nope, looks like we're all good. Yep, finally time to test this bad boy out. Alrighty guys, I gotta be honest, I am kind of blown away by how much difference that has actually made to the feel and handling of the vehicle. I knew axle shake and axle wobble was a thing. I thought it was mainly coming from my front right, honestly, because the counterweight has come loose. But suffice it to say, I'm really happy with how that's driving now. Alright guys, so with the CV now replaced, the 3-inch trailing arm drop installed, and the HRG toe drop bracket welded in, I think that's a good place to call this episode. We are really crunching into the rebuilding of the suspension and getting this thing back up to scratch for camping season coming up in summer. I'm really excited. I've already got some trips booked, got some private ones booked, some nice spots to visit, so I'm really looking forward to that. Next episode, I'm taking care of a bunch of things that I've had sitting on the shelf for a while. So I'm talking my hood scoop, my wing, my oil catch can, all of the Super Pro bushings for my lower control arms are going in. So my caster is going to be corrected up front. I'm getting new lower ball joints put in. I've got Moog outer ball joints for the front lower control arms for the shock mount. So the entire suspension of this thing is going to be finished by the end of next episode. A lot of exciting things coming up. Super happy, super stoked. It's been driving a bit rough for a while now, but we're taking care of each little thing. I've even got stainless braided clutch lines coming in and stuff, so everything's coming together really nicely now. But we'll see all that in the next episode. For now, thank you for watching once again. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you did, give us a big thumbs up. If you didn't, give us a thumbs down. Maybe tell me what you didn't like, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.